So, carbon update. Um, what we have here is a fully printed out carbon chassis. All right, so you can see the bushing, or hub rather, in there. I ran this up pretty fast for some tests, and it was a lot cooler. It was much, the ventilation that was added for the hub seems to have done the job. I've got the top captured. There's the bottom. This is pretty much in configuration. There's a lot of chaff and little residuals from the printing process, but the important part is I actually made the armor here around here a little thicker. What is the weight? The weight with the motor, chassis, and weapon, 300 grams, pretty much. Well, dead on. How about that? I've also printed out a couple of wheels in carbon. I keep saying carbon. I mean carbon, not with nylon. There we are. And we have the two motors, hubs, set screws, and the electronics. It's going in there. All right. And the battery. 430 grams. Which leaves a good 20 grams for miscellaneous hardware, a couple of screws and bolts. I feel good about the current weight situation. What I don't feel good about is the battery. I ran up the weapon at more or less full speed, and it was a lot quieter. It was a lot nicer. Now that the hub, what I determined was that when this is spinning, you can see it looks. I know that this looks unbalanced because of this one side tooth, but you see how the metal is thicker here, right? So it actually, the center of gravity is right in the center of this hub. It actually is balanced. But what it isn't balanced in is if the hub is tilted and it turns like this, right? That gives a dynamic instability. The difference between static and dynamic instability, static balance, sorry, I said static and dynamic instability, I meant balance. Static balance is no matter where you place this, it'll stay there, right? But if I were to take a weight and spin it about this axis like this, where it's spinning as an off-center frisbee, you can see that while it's statically balanced, as soon as it starts spinning, it's going to get a very, very fast wobble as it spins. That's dynamic balance. That's why if you ever go to a tire shop to get your tires replaced, they always put it on a balancer that has to actually spin the wheel. It's because you can't do dynamic balance without actually spinning it. You have to spin it to see what the forces are, and then do it's straightforward but not easy computation as to exactly where you need to put two weights. There's always a two-weight solution. I think, oh man, this is going way back. I think you can always reduce dynamic balance to a two-weight solution. I could be wrong about that. Maybe obviously one weight can work, but I think two weights always does, as long as you put them in the right place and they're the right value. Anyway, by setting with the current value, with the current hub setup, clamped down and designed well, I don't have that wobble. I'm going to see. Oops. All right. Let me get the electronics off of there. You see, it's pretty much dead on spinning. I know you can't tell. I'll show you a test where you can. But when I ran up the test, it was a lot quieter and it ran a lot nicer. The problem was that it drew so much power from the battery that it got hot, and I mean hot, like 150 C, 160. I was testing the temperature with a thermal probe, and it got puffy, which means I should probably throw this away before it burns up. When I charge it, I keep it in a lithium bag. Don't worry, I'm not going to burn my shop down. And it may, I'm drawing too much current from it. So what I'm going to do next is a actual test with a current sensor. And it's technically a 35C. That means 35 times its rated value. It's rated at 250 milliamps. So 35 times that is what, 6, 7, 8.3 amps. I'm just thumbnailing that. So if I draw more than 8.3 amps continuous from this, it's out of spec. So I'm going to find out what 8 amps is. I'm going to hook up a current meter and just start firing it up and see what that is. And then make sure it can actually go the distance. I think the Dragon Con, the official ant weight rules are 2 minutes, but the 1 pound American rules, I believe, are 3 minutes. So I have to make sure that I can run the motors and everything for 3 minutes, and 250 milliamps might not be enough for that. So that extra weight might get soaked up really fast when I have a bigger battery. Anyway, that's this update, and I'll see you around.